Welcome to Failure Friday. I am Actor Joanna Bronson, and I am so excited to share with you my tips and tricks and lessons from my failures on my journey. So I hope this is helpful to you. Today I'm going to talk about this audition that I completely blew. Absolutely. And if the biggest lesson I have from this audition is set up a system for disaster. Now, the way I learned this was I had my biggest audition I've ever had in theater. It was for the Pasadena Playhouse in California. And if you don't know about this place, guys, look it up. Some of the biggest legends have worked there. Some of the most beautiful work has come out of that place. And it was my very first audition for them, which I'm sure I was referred to by a previous director in another play that I was in. And I blew it. I completely blew it. Okay, maybe it's a little harsh. I didn't completely blow it, but I didn't do great. And it's like, I'm sure some of you are like, oh, I'm sure you weren't too horrible. I'm like, no, guys, as actors, you know when you're not doing your best. And I definitely was not doing my best. I was probably at a 5 out of a 10. It was just nowhere near as great as I would have liked it. And here's what happened. So the day I got the audition was also the same day that I was in the process of losing an apartment that I had already moved into. All my stuff was in the living room basically, and I was about to move in, and I find out that it's not happening. And I'm homeless. And the funny thing is, I ended up being homeless for 2 months. Now, I'm not saying homeless out on the street. It wasn't that serious, guys. It was more like just couch surfing and living in friends' guest rooms when luckily somebody I barely knew at the time offered me a spare room in their place. I barely knew this person. They welcomed me into their home, and at that time I went through such a big transition. But anyways, back to the audition. You never know what's coming, guys. You got to enjoy the moment. But the day it happened, I just was in a frenzy. I got the audition notice, the email. I read the email, and as soon as I got the text, and I was excited for the audition for all of 2 seconds. And then it just completely went to the back of my mind oh my God, what am I going to do about this apartment? And I just went into this huge slot of all right, I got to look up all the places that are nearby. Because in LA, it's really hard to move and find the place that you want for certain, it's really hard to find a good apartment in LA, I find. Every time I've moved, I find that there are very specific things that I want in a place, and there's definitely cap points. I live in a certain tax bracket, guys, so I can't afford certain things, but I also need to be close to work, so I don't have a car, and the transportation system here isn't the greatest. It's not nowhere near as good as New York City or living in England or anything like that. The public transportation system still has a way to go in LA. That being said, I was freaking out. I completely freaked out, and I let my emotions get the best of me. And I didn't have a system for disaster at the time. I was still learning, about myself and who I am as a person, and it was crazy. Fast forward 3 days later, and I get an email from the casting director for the play. Are you going to be here in the morning? Because I never confirmed. And I completely forgot. Yes, I know some of you are like, Joanna, how could you forget about one of the biggest auditions of your life at the time? And I'm like, I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't know how I messed that up, because let me tell you guys, this wasn't a small audition. This was a big role that played several characters. I needed to learn 2 scenes and a full monologue, all in an English accent, which I had never done before. I needed coaching. I got luckily my stepfather's English, and I called him and just had him go over and over with the lines with me over and over in this accent that I had no idea what I was doing with. And believe me, guys, doing an English accent off-rip is not easy. Not for me anyway. There's some people who are naturals at picking up accents and hearing things, and I'm not one of those people. It takes me time and energy, and I'm one of those people that wants to know that I'm off book and learning how to read off the page and things like that. I don't completely rely on it anymore. I'm really great at picking off the page now, but this was also done in a classic style. So classic style anything is really hard just to pick off the page. So you want to know where you're at. And so I actually ended up doing a really good job of getting off book for the scene, and I felt that was the strongest part of my audition. But the thing I think they were looking for, and I could tell in the room, casting directors and people who are trying to cast you in a play, directors, they want you to do great. They're rooting for you. They're not sitting there oh, this freaking person. No, they want you to be great so they can cast you. And I felt it in the room after that scene that, oh, they kind of liked me. I did good. But then the monologue hit, and I don't know what I did. I swear, I think I dropped the accent at some point, and I was so upset at myself in the moment for not rocking it or asking to start over, because you can do that. You can, if you're at the beginning and you mess up, just stop and take it back and like, I'm gonna go again. Be professional. And for whatever reason, you know, I didn't feel prepared, and I messed it up. It was a really bad monologue. I'm pretty sure it was all one note. I didn't hit any levels. I'm sure I missed a whole paragraph somewhere in there. Like, I couldn't even tell you what I did because I'm pretty sure it was that bad. And I could see it on their face, guys. I could see it on their face as soon as I finished it, that they were completely like, what is she doing here? Why is this person here? What happened? Because the scene was pretty decent. I'm telling you, I don't think the scene was terrible, but for whatever reason, and I did it to myself. It was completely my own fault. I could have just rocked it. I could have just rocked it with confidence. And, you know, I've been in auditions where I could have just been like, okay, it's cool. I'm going to improv, or I'm going to like do better. And I just, you know, because I forgot about the audition, I literally had 4 hours total of prep time for all of it. And that's overnight and early mornings. The audition was at 8:30 in the morning. And I remembered at about 10 p.m. the night before. So, you know, it just didn't go well at all. And it was the first time in my life I ever wrote to a casting director and was like, hey, thank you so much for having me. I hope you're willing to see me in development next time around. And, you know, I haven't heard from them since, but, you know, I have hope someday I will definitely get back in that room and rock it and make up for it. But that was my failure. And the biggest thing that I learned from that experience was you got to have a system for disaster. And for me, what that is like, I'm going to shut down, I'm going to get upset, and there are going to be things that drive my anxiety to get me so tunnel visioned onto the problem that I forget everything outside of the problem and not solving it, because I'm a natural problem solver, and when there's a problem, I got to solve it, and or figure out a plan for it. And I've been working on that control too. But that being said, my plan for disaster now, so that I won't forget important things that matter more to me than like, you know, having a place to live. Yes, that's important, but is as important as not going in for my dream job that I've worked this hard for? Not at all. That will work. Everything works out in its own way, and it did. I found this apartment that I'm living in now, and it worked out perfectly in the long run. I had some great people show up for me, and if I had just put the anxiety on hold and been like, okay, this is happening, but I'm not going to deal with that right now because I have something else that's more important to me in my future, and I'm not going to self-sabotage, because that's what I did. I self-sabotaged. So that being said, this is my system for disaster now. I make sure that the moment anything important is coming up, is happening, you know, I know some people like digital, but I'm all about my agenda. And I write it in my agenda for as soon as I have the appointment. I write it every day, 5 days till so-and-so, 6 days until so-and-so, 4 days until so-and-so, so that I remember that it's coming up, and I can look at my master agenda and see it on the date and not have it just come up on me and like, oh my God, it's like right there, you know, because there are things that are more important than others. And if I can pick that one audition, and had I wrote it out, I would have realized the next day when I was going through it that no, this is 4 days away, Joanna Bronson. You better put down the listings for apartments and go practice this audition and find a voice coach and make it, you know, give it all that you got, because that's what matters most. Nothing else matters to me. My art matters, my family and my art. Those are the two things that matter the most to me, and self-care. So I hope that you guys find a way to manage your disasters so that so you don't end up self-sabotaging yourself. It was something that I learned, and since then has not happened again. And I'm so grateful for it, because it won't. And I am excited to get back into that room one day, and it's gonna happen, guys. So please share some of your failures with me. Let me know some of the things that, you know, you hesitated on, or you forgot about, or like just the crazy things that your mind can do to you sometimes. Blows me away. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful to you. Leave back comments and questions below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, a-holes.